Alright, so what we've got here is we are working on a set of Windsor Junior heads, and we're doing some progressive modifying on them. Just kind of going over what we've got going on here. Done some port work on the intake and exhaust. I'm just kind of done some flow on that, and just kind of going to do some progressive stuff and see how it affects it, and see if we can take these and improve them a little bit more. So that's the exhaust side. And here's the chambers. I haven't done any opening of the chambers. All I did was a little bit of polishing and to kind of see what that did. I'll show you right here. What we're looking at is how small these are. If you look here, you'll see that these chambers are really pretty small. So, you know, that can we can pick up some numbers just by straightening this out a little bit. So that's something we're going to do. And you can kind of see some of the work that we did here on the intake side of it. I don't know if you can see that good or not. And the good old-fashioned short turn. We didn't take a lot out of it, just kind of used the shape that they had and just tried to work with what they had here. Tapered off the guide bosses. They were really huge. There was a lot of sharp edges, and especially right in the middle of that short turn and on the back side, the long side of the bowl. So we're just gonna it's really hard to see what I'm looking at on the camera here, but right now in the shape that they're in and what we're looking at, these are doing I had them float here, and they do 234 on the intake and about 183 on the exhaust. So not crazy numbers, but a whole lot better than stock, and we're going to see if we can bump this up a little bit, make some improvements on it. So right now, if you've never done this before, I'm going to show you kind of how to match these gaskets up. You can take the dowels from your block and stick them in the holes. Stick this one in over here, and take your head gasket, and this is front of my engine is going to be up there. So we put the front up to where the front's going to go. And these, I'm not going to use these gaskets. This is just a stock rebuilder set, so I'm just going to use these for purposes like this. And you can see that the intake, you can't get much bigger there. I mean, it's pretty much lined up perfectly, if you can see that. But the exhaust over here, it's pretty fat. So there's some improvement there. These bowls are really straight, kind of like a bathtub almost. So we're gonna take and lay that back a little bit, and try and follow the layout of the port and just spread that out a little bit. And now I'm no professional by any means, but I can do a little bit of stuff that might help some people out that just kind of like to do some of their own stuff and kind of their hobby. So yeah. So we're gonna follow the direction of the port, and we're gonna spread that down and lay that back a little bit, and we're gonna taper that into the original casting, and that should help it out a little bit there. Another thing we're going to do, of course, is we are going to port match this gasket to a 1262 intake gasket. So that's why we're doing this, is we're going to set this gasket on. And then we can draw this. Oh, I want the fine point for this. And I just use a Sharpie, really. Some people don't like that, but that's alright. So I can just take this, and I'm just holding it down here. So I'm going around trying to hold this camera as I'm doing this, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. And I did measure these, and this is a 4.1 inch bore on this stock gasket, which I was kind of surprised about. So then if you look there, you can see now we've got our bore on there. And I'm not going to take that all the way back because obviously it would be larger than the bore then. So we're just going to use that as a guide for straightening this out. And also with that head gasket laid on there, then we can take our 1262 intake gasket and I like to look at it the other way. We can lay that on there, and with that head gasket, it's going to position it just right where it will on the block. So then you can take and mark this out. So you can lay back that push rod pinch and get a straighter shot at the intake valve. Because you can kind of see it really kind of lays back in there. So we're going to try and straighten out that push rod pinch so we can get a straighter shot at that intake valve. We're going to see what kind of improvements that's going to make. So, then with that gasket, we've got our head gasket holding on our intake gasket just where it's going to be. We want to make sure that's up flush here, and it is, and it just doesn't move back and forth. And then I like to just mark it out. Oh. That's why you need two hands, hold it down. There. And that'll give you an idea of how much larger that 1262 is compared to that port. And I'm not going to lower the bottom side of that port. One of the things that I've already done, not sure if you can see this on the camera, but I have drilled out the push rod holes, and so all of them are going to be sleeved when I'm done. So I'm going to port this out, open it up to the 1262, and then I'm going to put the push rod sleeves in. And actually we're not losing any diameter of this hole. I only drilled it out, I think it was about 50 thousandths. Somewhere close to that, so we're really not losing anything. Because you don't want to make that too small, you won't have room for your push rods. So really we're doing the same diameter we started with. So we'll see how that works out when we're done, and see if we can give you guys some more numbers. Thanks.